Have you ever just sat down to write some code? After a while, you check the time and somehow 2 hours have passed by. And you look back at your laptop and check your code editor, tens of hundreds of lines of code written, and you realize all the progress you've made. And it seemed easy, didn't it? Effortless. Well, that's what they call the flow state. But for some reason, not every single coding session is like that. Imagine how amazing it would be that every time you sat down to write some code, you could enter the flow state on command. That would just be like an automatic thing that just happened. Imagine how good of a programmer you'd be in a month, 3, maybe even a year. You'd easily be able to smash through your leak code problems, your portfolio projects, and even the tickets in your work. Well, in this video, I'm going to lay down the 4 must-do requirements for you to enter the flow state on command before you sit down to write some code. And I'm talking every single time. You need to do this if you want to enter the flow. It's a quick 5-minute process that you just need a pen and paper for. Now, in my experience, when I hit these 4 requirements, every single one of them, that's when I get the best sessions. If I only hit 1 or 2 of the requirements, the session is mediocre at best. When I hit 3 of these points, you know I'm going to have a decent session. But when I hit the 4, you best believe that I'm throwing myself into my code and wondering why the sun has gone down. For the first requirement, I'd argue this is the most important one, but it's not always achievable with work deadlines or other commitments. The first one is not having a time limit. This might go against Parkinson's law, where you set a deadline of time for you to do a task and then you just do the task within that time. This is different. Say now it's a Friday night, it's 6 o'clock, and you want to write some code. You've got plans for dinner at 7:30, so you might need to start getting ready at 7, head out by 7:15, meaning you only get an hour at best. Getting in the flow takes time, man. Now, I'm not saying don't go out for dinner, that would be stupid, but just have open blocks in your calendar of like 2-3 hours of where you have no commitments and all you want to do in that time is write code. Last night, it was Friday, I came over to my mum's house. I hadn't seen her for a while, so we caught up, and then it hit 7 o'clock and I had no other commitments, so I just spent the time working on my personal project, and generally somehow I didn't get up out of that seat until it was time for bed. I don't know if it's coding specifically, but not having a time limit, for me anyways, is so powerful because you don't get distracted. Oh, what am I going to wear in this dinner? What am I going to eat? Oh, should I have a drink tonight? There's so many little things you don't realize just in the back of your mind. When you don't have anything planned, whoa, that's when powerful things happen in your IDE. I want you to get a pen and paper for this one. Literally takes 2 minutes. Before you start writing to code, you need to set out the requirements of what you want to achieve in that session. So if you have a 2-hour block, by the end of that 2-hour block, what do you want to achieve? It needs to be defined. So for example, for me, I'm a web dev. One of the things I could write down is I need to do upgrades for the UI, but then that's too vague of a requirement. You need to pick out, is it the nav bar at the top of the screen? Is it the login screen? Be specific and then say again what you want to do with it. Even though you set out these things, you might not achieve them, and that's okay. You can work on them in your next flow session. Just having requirements. Otherwise, you're literally just typing away your code, not having a goal in mind. Oh, ping, your phone goes off. Check it. Oh, 10 minutes scrolling. Come back. What was I trying to do? Let's do this. Oh, actually, I kind of want to do that. Start typing that, and then you end up getting nothing done. I've done it loads. I still do it sometimes, but a lot less often now since I've got this framework. It sounds so simple, and it's literally so easy. It will literally take you a minute. It could even be on your Trello board. You just pick out one of the tasks to do. And at the end of the session, you can just update. If you've completed it, brilliant. If you've made some progress, just add some comments onto that task and say what you did. Number 3, this one's an interesting one because our brain works in mysterious ways. If something is too easy, you're just not engaged. You'll actually somehow get bored. So then you'll end up leaving the task and going somewhere else. So when you decide what you're going to implement, it needs to be challenging, but doable. You know beforehand, I need to fully concentrate for this because this is going to be hard. But you also know, yeah, if I get into this session and I have a good session, I just know I will achieve it. It won't be easy because we all know coding is literally so hard sometimes and it just doesn't make sense sometimes. But having these 2 things, oh my God, it's so powerful. Remember this, challenging, but doable. It could be like writing queries for your database. You've done it for one of your tables and it was quite hard to set up for the first one. You need to do it for one of your other tables and it is going to be hard. You've sort of got context and you've sort of got other code that you can look at. So if you like combine all your resources, it will be done. And what's class about that, because you'll obviously encounter loads of errors, so you'll learn from these new errors. And we as humans, it just needs to be challenging. Being comfortable is your worst enemy. Like if you constantly just do the same code, do the same projects with all the same features, yeah, you're probably at a good standard if you can do all of that, but you're never going to improve if you just keep doing the same sort of code. And the final one, novelty. How I interpret that is it doesn't have to be a completely new concept, but there's elements of what you're going to implement. It's sort of new, or it's not fully covered. And obviously you can't have this for every single session, because there's going to be times where you just need to do the stuff that you already know. But when you're like learning something new, or you're trying to implement a new feature or a new query or something that you haven't done before, it's exciting, man. Yeah, it's super frustrating, and you kind of get anxious sometimes because you're like, oh, I want to do this, but it's so unknown, it's so new. How the hell do I even do this? But then when you find some resources online, when you find some videos, when you find a really niche blog post that does exactly what you want to do, anxiety sort of ease down, and then when you start getting into it, it gets fun because you're doing something that's exciting. And again, I'm going to iterate, it goes with the last point. When you're doing new stuff, you're going to have loads of new errors. You're going to add it to the arsenal. You're going to just know what to do when you reach these errors in the future. Pretty cool stuff. So I have a bonus point for you. But first, let's recap. So no time limit. Requirements are defined. It's something challenging, but doable. And there's elements of novelty to it. But the bonus one, people always ask this, to be caffeinated or not. Do you really need to be caffeinated to enter the flow state? I think everyone's going to be different for this one, but for me, I enter the flow state a lot better on personal projects for some reason, probably because I just have a lot more passion for that sort of stuff rather than do code just to get paid. The times I do my passion project is at night, so I don't really want to be caffeinated because I just won't be able to sleep. And I'm fully able to get in the flow without caffeine. But then in work, when I have a deadline, I've sort of scrapped the no time limit requirement. So if I have an hour to get stuff done, I need to fix a bug or implement some new logic to render the UI differently, or I need to update some tests that are failing. But my DSM is in an hour's time. I'm going to get some coffee down me. If it's midday, I want to bash this out. Yeah, I might get it done, but I might reach the full flow. But personally, my best experiences with flow and coding is without caffeine. But genuinely experiment yourselves and let me know down in the comments which state you like to be in, caffeinated or not. I hope you guys like this video. This sort of topics really interest me. So yeah, cheers.